You can have decades of real world experience, but if you're still waiting for some imaginary piece of paper to give you permission to call yourself an expert, you're quietly killing your authority. Most of us get trapped over credentializing, underpricing, and comparing our year two with someone else's year 12, convincing ourselves we just aren't ready. Today, we're throwing out the imposter syndrome and building an authority strategy that positions you as the obvious choice in your market. Let's get started. Welcome to the Midlife Business Academy. I'm Lori Lyons, marketing strategist, business coach, and accidental techie. After years of running a successful website design agency, I'm now building the business of my dreams and helping other midlife entrepreneurs do the same. From strategy to marketing to mindset, we covered what really matters when you're growing a business that fits your life. Let's get started. I'm Lori Lyons, and welcome to the Midlife Business Academy. If you've ever felt like your business is running your life instead of supporting it, you're in the right place. Around here, I believe a dream business isn't measured by its size. It's measured by the freedom and life it makes possible. So we're 6 episodes into the Dream Business Blueprint series. Last week, we talked about being known, getting the right people to actually see you. And this week, we're going to take this one layer deeper because being known and being trusted are not the same thing. It boils down to authority. And usually words like authority get thrown around constantly in business circles, usually right next to the words like thought leader, which, no, thank you. But underneath the buzzword, authority is doing something very specific and very valuable. It creates trust before the first conversation ever happens. I remember my very first day of student teaching years and years ago. I was assigned to a senior class in high school, and I was probably at most just a couple of years older than some of the kids and students that were sitting in front of me. And I was petrified. And I told my supervising teacher that I just wasn't ready, that I didn't know if I actually knew enough to be standing up there and teaching people that were just a couple of years younger than I was. And she said something to me that I still think about many years later. And whenever I'm feeling that, I think about what she told me. She said, just remember, you will always know more than they do, even if it's just a little bit more. Words of wisdom that I live by to this day. So that was it. That was the whole pep talk she gave me. I was trembling and petrified, and all she said was, you know more than they do. Let's get going. And it worked because it was true. I didn't need to know everything. I just needed to know a little more than the people in front of me and be willing to stand up and teach it. Now, does that change things for you and open up possibilities for you? I think about that line all the time in the business because self-doubt creeps in for all of us. That voice that says, who are you to charge for this? Who are you to call yourself an expert? Surely there's someone more qualified than you that should be standing here instead. And every time I go back to my teacher's voice, I'm an authority in my field. I'm claiming my authority in the midlife space, not because I know everything, but because I know more than the person who needs my help, and I'm willing to stand up and say so. Think about that. If you're ready to stop waiting for permission and start owning the authority you've already earned, hit the subscribe button and notification button below. We're in the middle of a 10-part series designed to help you build a business around your life. So make sure you turn on the notifications so you don't miss a single step. So let's ask the real question underneath all of this. Where does authority actually come from? Is it your education? Is it your experience? Is it both? Because here's what I want you to let go of right now. The idea that a piece of paper is the only thing that gets to grant you authority. Education matters. I'm not knocking it. But experience is its own authority. And for a lot of you listening, lived experience is the more powerful credential in the room, not the lesser one. If you've built and sold a business, you have authority on building and selling a business. If you navigated a midlife career pivot yourself, you have authority on midlife career pivots. If you raise 3 kids while running a company, you have authority on running a company while raising 3 kids. That's not soft, secondary kind of experience. For the people you actually serve, it's exactly what they're looking for because they don't want theory. They want someone who's actually been where you are. So here's another way to think about it. Picture 2 different pilots. One has thousands of real hours in the air. The other trained intensively on a simulator, including emergency scenarios you never want to know about in real flight. Both of these pilots know how to fly the plane. Both have real, legitimate authority in the cockpit. They're just built 2 different ways. That comparison that actually matters isn't pilot versus pilot. It's either one of them versus the passenger in seat 14C who's never touched a set of controls in his life. Next to him, both pilots are unmistakably the authority in the room. Now, if you happen to have both, real experience and real training, that combination is going to serve you even better. But here's the part that matters most for you today. In your business, if you've only got one of the two, you're still not the person to worry about. You still know more than the person sitting across from you who's never flown a plane at all and who's never gone through a single hour of training. Those are who you're actually being measured against, not the pilot with more hours than you, the passenger who has none. Authority comes from education or experience or both. What it doesn't require is permission. I had a client once who had an actual doctor of psychology, a real one, like PhD behind her name. And she told me she couldn't call herself a coach because, in her words, she wasn't a coach. She didn't get a coaching certification. And I am not going to climb on that soapbox here because I've already built an entire episode around it. Go back and listen to episode 326, why the coaching industry is broken, if you want my whole rant. But I'll say this here. A woman with a doctorate, actual years of clinical training, actual PhD letters behind her name, was standing in front of me undervaluing her authority so badly she couldn't even claim a title that most people handed themselves after one certification weekend, if at all. If that can happen to someone with her credentials, it can happen to any of us. And it usually shows up in your pricing before it shows up anywhere else. If you're quietly convinced you're not really the expert, it will leak into every number you set. You'll price it like someone who's still proving themselves instead of someone who already has the experience. So here's the question underneath the question. Are you charging like someone with authority, or are you charging like someone waiting for permission to have it? So when are you ready to call yourself an expert? I get asked that question a lot. When do I call myself an expert? When am I actually ready? And here's the honest answer. You're ready before you feel ready. You almost will never feel like you know enough. That feeling doesn't go away at some magical point where you finally arrived. It doesn't, fireworks don't go off in the air and say you're ready. I promise you it doesn't, because I still feel it. A lot of us still feel it. What changes is whether you let that feeling run the show, whether you let that override what you know. So go back to that line from my supervising teacher. You will always know more than the person in front of you needs to know, even if it's just a little bit more. That's the actual bar. Not know everything, not have zero doubt left, just know more than the person you're trying to help and be willing to stand up and say so. So here's another thing that I see holding a lot of business owners back, and it's kind of a buzzword right now: imposter syndrome. And I say buzzword carefully because I'm not saying that it's not real. It is absolutely real. But here's what I want you to think about and understand about it. It is entirely generated inside of us, inside of you. Your client isn't the one telling you that you're a fraud. Your client hired you, they showed up, and they trust you enough to pay you. That verdict, that feeling that you don't belong, that you're one question away from being found out, that's not coming from them. That's coming from inside of you, which is actually good news because it means that you have more control over it than it feels like you do. And I want to be very clear about something. This isn't just something that shows up when you're sitting across from the client. It shows up everywhere. It's what's keeping you from charging what you're worth because some part of you doesn't believe you've earned that number yet. It's also what gives you comparisonitis. You know, that feeling you look at someone with 5 more years in business than you, they have a bigger following, a fancier launch, they just made bazillions of dollars on a launch. And instead of just noticing they're a lot farther down the road, you decide it means that something's wrong with you. I want to call this one out on its own because it is so, so common. Almost every business owner I've ever worked with has stood right here, comparing their year 2 to someone else's year 12, and quietly using that as a comparison to say as proof that they don't belong. And here's the thing about that person 5 or 12 years ahead of you. More than likely, they're not even who you'd want to work with or who you'd want to compare yourself with. Their ideal clients aren't your ideal clients. Your ideal client isn't the most advanced person in your industry. Your client is whoever actually needs what you have right now at the level you're at right now. Measuring yourself against a 7-figure business owner when that's not even who you are, or honestly who you want to be, it's not just discouraging. It's not a practical comparison at all. You're not in competition with that business. You're just trying to help the person standing in front of you today. It's what's keeping you from playing bigger. If a bigger, bolder version of this business is actually your dream. And honestly, it's what's keeping a lot of people stuck. Full stop. Not stuck because they lack the skill or experience, but stuck because the doubt is stronger than the evidence. And here's 3 signs it's showing up for you. 1, you downplay your wins. A client gets a great result, and your first instinct is, well, they did the real work, instead of letting yourself count it. 2, you over prepare and over credential. You chase one more certification, one more course, one more year of whatever before you'll let yourself feel ready, when what you actually need is already sitting in your experience. 3, you hedge your own language. You say, I just think, or this may not work for everyone, but, or you undersell a price before anyone even asks. Small verbal habits that quietly tell the world you don't fully believe what you're saying either. Here's another one that I just thought of. Does that make sense? So, so common. I do it all the time. And I just realized that's probably a really good example of imposter syndrome is making sure it makes sense and asking for that. It's a validation. So, a side note, totally off topic, not really off topic, but totally off script, talking points. And there's one more thing that might be the most common part of all: procrastination. Your website isn't ready. The offer isn't polished. The program needs one more module before you could possibly launch it. Here's another one. I need to lose 5 pounds before I record my videos, or my hair is not good. I had a client who did a video recently, and she was showing it to me. She said, "But I don't like it. I'm going to redo it." And I said, "What's wrong with that?" One strand of hair was out of place. Honey, if I redid every recording where every strand of hair was out of place, I'd never get anything done. Done is better than perfect. And most of us know that logically. But there's a little devil on your shoulder whispering to you that, are you going to put this out there? Are you really going to do that? That hair is out of place. And procrastination is just that voice wearing a disguise. It doesn't announce itself as fear. It shows up as, I just need a little more time. I just need to redo that video. I need to lose 5 more pounds. So here's 3 ways to work yourself out of it. 1, keep actual evidence of your wins somewhere that you can go back and look at. Client results, a nice email, a testimonial, because your memory will erase all of that the second self-doubt shows up. And you need something more reliable than your own memory at that moment. Number 2, go back to the measuring stick that actually matters, not the most credentialed person in your industry, the person in front of you who needs what you already know. Then 3, act on the evidence you have instead of waiting for the feeling to catch up. The feeling of being ready almost never arrives first. It shows up after you've already done the thing enough times that you can't deny it anymore. Remember, authority isn't claimed, it's demonstrated. Imposter syndrome wants you to wait until after you feel like an expert before you act like one. Demonstrating your authority anyway, feelings at all, is how you actually get over that and close that gap. So now, once you've made peace with claiming it, you still have to demonstrate it. Because remember, authority isn't claimed, it's demonstrated. So this is where specific channels come in. And I'm not going to belabor these since we've already covered so much of it before. So go back and listen to the visibility episode last week. But here's a quick list of the places where authority gets built in public. Speaking, whether it's a stage or a 10-person workshop, hosting your own podcast, guesting on other people's, writing consistently on the questions you get asked over and over, teaching what you know in real time, and naming your own frameworks and processes instead of borrowing somebody else's language, which, by the way, is exactly what I'm doing with the Dream Business Blueprint. That's what it's doing for me. So pick one. You don't need all 5. One place to consistently show your evidence starting now. So here's what I want you to do this week. Answer the question honestly. Are you charging and speaking like someone with authority or like someone still waiting for permission? And then I want you to pick one small, specific way to demonstrate your authority this week. Write the article, pitch the podcast, name the framework you've been teaching without ever giving it a name, because probably you've got one. So this week's piece of the Dream Business Blueprint is the authority assessment, and I want to give you a preview of it here. The question at the center of it is this: are you seen as the obvious expert or simply one of many options? So in the workbook, you'll rate yourself 1 to 10, just like you have before, on 5 things. Whether you're known for something specific, whether your expertise is actually visible, whether your regular teachers share what you know, and whether your authority is creating real opportunities for you. And add it up, and you'll have your blueprint score out of 50. So here's the question I want you to leave with right now before you even start it. What evidence would convince a prospective client that you're the obvious choice? If you can't answer that quickly, that's not just a flaw, it's just information. It tells you exactly where you need to focus. Because remember, authority isn't claimed, it's demonstrated. So authority creates trust before the first conversation even happens. And that trust doesn't come from a title or a degree or waiting until you feel ready. It comes from knowing a little more than the person in front of you and being willing to stand up and say so. So grab the authority assessment in the show notes and find out exactly where you stand. And if you want help figuring out how to actually claim and demonstrate your authority in your business, that's exactly what we work through in a Dream Business Design session. Head to talkwithlori.com and let's see if we're the right fit. So until next week, remember, it's never too late to build the business of your dreams. We'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me on the Midlife Business Academy. If today's episode made you think, or made you feel seen, Share it with a fellow business owner who could use it too. When you're ready for more support, you'll find the link to book your Profitable Path Blueprint call in the show notes. I'll be back next week with more insight and strategy to help you build a business that truly fits your life and one of your dreams. We'll see you next time on the Midlife Business Academy.